Good to go? All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to call the meeting for August 11th, 2015 to order. The first thing today will be the adoption of the agenda. A motion to do that, moved by Councillor Stoyle, seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Any additions to the agenda other than this bright yellow invoices for approval sheet, which is a replacement? You have... There's a modified corporate services to also be inserted. Anything else into the agenda? We don't have that. He has it only. Okay. All right. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried. The agenda having been adopted, we'll move along. The first item would be the minutes and action report of the meeting of July 28th. And I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Aker. Any errors or omissions? Errors or omissions only? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried. Business arising, if you would, from the minutes of July 28th, please reference the agenda item number attached thereto. Deputy Mayor.
Item 488, Your Worship. On
488. Hang on now, I got to find it.
The reefer repair. I'm just wondering if we had an update on the status of that. We were going to contact to see if anything has been done. The order was issued, and just wondering about an update there, Your Worship.
Can we get an update on the situation?
Your Worship,
with reefer repair. Mr. Yevchek.
Yeah, the contact action was made today with reefer repair, a letter advising what we were doing, and that's where it stands at this point.
Okay, I'm assuming that's what that envelope was about, Norm? That you got there. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any other business arising? No other business arising. We'll go back to the agenda. Proclamations and presentations. Council, not surprisingly, in the middle of August. I have none. We also have no public correspondence to table at this time. We'll move, therefore, directly to committee reports, the first of which today will be the Community Services Committee report. Deputy Mayor Locke.
Thank you, Your Worship. These are all sort of information items here today. The first has to do with the movie in the park. It's going to take place this Thursday on August the 13th. And the weather forecast is calling for, dare I say it, nice conditions. I'm just going to say nice conditions. No, that's right.
No. Councillor Tessier, you have permission to slap him up the side of the head. You're going to drop kick him.
This is a safe and caring workplace here.
This is a very dangerous spot for you to be in.
All right, can we move on?
Yes, she could, and we would cheer it on, would we not? Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Don't ever bring up the weather again.
I won't. All right.
Carry on, sir.
So the movie in the park this year, The Big Hero 6.
Yep.
It's our outdoor family movie again. It's going to start at dusk, usually around 8:30. The admission is a non-perishable food item. Bring your blankies and enjoy the movie. I think we usually have some complimentary
So I need to find a
popcorn.
kid, right, to go with me?
No, come down. Yeah.
Right, see, I only have my one kid is 40 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to go with me. He's not.
Take him by the hand and take him home.
You
That's
could
right.
loan me a couple of kids, can
Yes.
you? A couple of grandkids. Right? So you could go to the movie.
Yeah, so
it's a
as
lot
I
of fun,
said,
it's yours.
it aims to be good. In the event that the weather doesn't cooperate, it'll take place on the 14th. Again, if they want more information, the public can contact our summer events coordinator at 748-1148, or they can email Nick Peach at npeach@mountpearl.ca. The next item, Your Worship, has to do with the Kids of Steel Triathlon. This was the first Kids of Steel Triathlon that the City of Mount Pearl hosted, and this took place on August the 5th, and it was quite a success. We had about 350 participants in this Kids Triathlon. So I just wanted to extend a sincere congratulations and appreciation to our city staff as well as the volunteers that, of course, always puts hard work and dedication in to make sure that this was quite a success.
Deputy Mayor, I was there that morning, got
All
to
right.
bring greetings, actually,
Okay.
to everybody that was there. They had about 350 young people from ages 5 and up actually participate in this thing. But our locale, the organizers, came to us that morning and said, all these years, apparently this event is like 14 years old. I had never heard of it. I guess I've just never had a kid involved. I'd never heard of it. and they had these Kids of Steel triathlon. I went up thinking I'm going to the pool to bring greetings. You know, there's 50 kids swimming, running, or 25. No idea. When I got there, there's like 500 people stood around, right? Both outside and inside the pool. They had the layout done for the bike piece. They ran the track for the track piece. The organizers came and said, this has got to be the ultimate layout for this. So I giggle and fear that they're going to want to come back for good. Right? That's okay by me, is all I'm saying. You know, Mr. Community Director, that's okay by me and Council. Councillor Tessier with a comment question.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pictures on social media over the course of the weekend, friends of mine with their children who participated in this, and I didn't know it was happening either. And I recognized that it was up at our track. So I'm wondering, who are the organizers? And, you know, if this is something, like the overall feeling of it was wonderful. I mean, you could tell it was a very positive vibe in the social media, in the pictures and in the talk. And I didn't know it was happening. Now, that, again, like you, because I don't have a child.
And the kids that participated, I heard, all had a blast.
Yeah.
And they come from everywhere.
But I think it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, if it speaks to our sport tourism, it speaks to our healthy, positive lifestyle challenges. It speaks to everything good.
So we're saying we want them if they want to come.
I think it's fantastic.
Was that Regatta Day?
No.
Yes.
I thought it was Saturday.
Regatta Day morning, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Saturday. Okay,
No,
carry on.
No. But it was interesting that I talked to some of the parents and grandparents. Boy, there was a lot of grandparents, let me tell you that, right? With these kids. And here's what was interesting. The way they had it set up and the way the summit is built, they could go in and watch their kid swim. Kid jumps out of the pool and he's got to go outside and grab his bike and bike. They could leave the pool through the back door, come out through what would be an emergency exit that we had open for this, come out, and right there in all of that parking lot, they had it all laid out with everybody's bikes. So you had your own bike. It's all done. They had people, they had hundreds of organizers. But if you, a parent, here's your kid, you just watched him swim, now he comes out and he gets on his bike, you literally had to make 8 steps to the corner of the building, and now you could watch him do the bike route all the way. And when he finished that bike route, you could walk up that little slope to the track and watch him do his run. They have never, ever had it so well confined that they could actually see the young people do the whole piece. They loved, and the weather was great. They loved it. I was reading it, but like you, Councillor Tessier, I was blown away. I never knew it existed, right? You know, anyway,
Yeah.
Mr. Collins.
It's an event that's been held outside the city for, I believe it's 13 or 14 years. They approached the city a couple of months ago to see if they could hold it within the city on the site. They saw the potential in the site, but once they got up there, they were blown away as well. They arrived at 6 with their volunteers. They ran the event. By 2 o'clock, they were gone. The grounds cleaned up. Lickety-split. It was a great event.
It was a marvelous event. It really was. You know. Anyway, to your point, Deputy Mayor, all compliments to them, and
Right.
it was great. I hope we get to keep it. That's
What was the upper age limit of that, Director?
I believe the
Collins?
upper age limit was 17.
16 or 17,
Yeah.
okay.
And they started with the 5-year-olds.
All I saw was a little children.
Yeah.
Right. Good stuff. Anyways, hopefully they'll come back, because as Councillor Stoll said, it falls right in line with our strategy for
Well, it's perfect.
sport tourism. Good stuff. Yep. The next item for our committee, Your Worship, is the Out of the Box project, the traffic box artwork, and we were just speaking with Councillor Tessier prior to our meeting about the work she's doing up there on Ruth Avenue, Ruth and Roosevelt. Just let the public know that this project is still ongoing. Great success, and we're receiving many compliments. I just think it brightens the whole city up.
Did you see the one they did? I watched them doing it, because as you pass by, you
Where?
watch this thing progress, like yours.
At
Last
Wendy's?
couple of days, I've been watching yours progress, right?
Yeah.
That thing blew me away, that space one, when it was done.
It's amazing.
Yeah. You seen that one?
I haven't. Up by
Oh.
Wendy's. Okay.
Oh,
Christine, she's a student of O'Donnell.
Okay.
it's beautiful. It's really,
Yeah, and she's
it is no lie to say it is a work of art.
Okay. Good stuff.
But it's like comic art,
Right.
if you know what I mean. It's like comic book art. It's really cosmic art,
Yeah.
you know.
It's beautiful.
Good.
Do you have a photo of it there?
Compliments all around, and just let the that's something we want to continue, Your Worship.
We do.
It's brightening the community, so it'll continue throughout the summer. I'm sure there will be opportunities for next summer as well. And the last item for our committee has to do with our summer programs. Our day camp continues to operate and is going extremely well. It's well attended this year in great numbers. The summer aquatic programs at our Summit Centre are ongoing and again actively being used by both our residents and visitors. Our recreation facilities and playfields are in full operation, and a welcome is extended to all to take part in many programs that are offered this season. Again, we pride ourselves with our facilities and our great programming that we have through community services. And of course, one of our main strategies is to promote active and healthy living here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I think our staff are doing a great job in promoting that, and just to encourage more people to get out and enjoy the facilities and programs that we have here at the city. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Moving on, Corporate Services. Councillor Baker, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Item number 1, we have tax deferrals for some of our low-income earning residents of the city. You see 4 accounts listed there in the range of $2,700 to $8,800. And in accordance with our policy for low-income earners, we're recommending or moving a tax deferral, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. Just a quick question, and I'm referencing the second account number, $8,756. That is an accumulated amount. Obviously, it's not 1 year. Does that accumulated amount come back every year, or just the amount for the year? Is this someone new? Is like the 2,700 seems like that's a year's account. That's but the 8 must be like 3-4 years. At least 3 years. So this is someone that caught up with us or our program. Is that what's happened here? Okay, fine. Thank you. Call the question or any other comment? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
Thank you. The second item is professional development training for the Director of Public Works and Infrastructure to attend the American Society of Civil Engineers conference September 21st to 25th, and I so move.
Gigantic pipe love in.
Making
no
it out,
doubt.
Your Worship. There may be pipes and other things and other dreams there, but this is in accordance with our professional development policy
pipes, right?
for our directors.
Yeah.
Before I second this, may I remind you that I was texting pictures of pipes from FCM to the director, and I never saw such a quick response in my life to a text. Ask them if they have this. Ask them if it does that.
It's probably 1 in the morning, was it?
Send him
morning?
pictures. So, all right. So we're gonna let the director loose in the pipe capital of the world. All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Item number 3, Your Worship, and what I have in my hand here is a rewritten version of it, but
Yes.
all we've done is change the addresses. It's now it's tax sale related to 17 Bragg, as you see in your kit, along with 8A Edinburgh. But we're also adding 8 Edinburgh Drive as an address here for this particular piece that we're about to do. We've commenced the process to collect the tax and other fees and arrears for these for the land and the buildings, as mentioned at those addresses. And so far we have not, despite sending notifications to the owners of the property, we've had no response back. And obviously we're not collecting any money on the past due amounts. And basically we've given them 60 days notice that a tax sale will begin. That 60 days has now passed. We're preparing to move forward with that tax sale, which will now involve advertising the properties in the Telegram as well as on our website. This will all be coordinated by the city's solicitor. And in order for this to take place, we need a minute of council. And let me read it. Be it resolved that pursuant to sections 161.1 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, the city clerk has caused notice to be given to the last known owners of property situated at 17 Bragg Crescent, 8 Edinburgh Drive, 8A Edinburgh Drive, all in the City of Mount Pearl, and that these properties are liable to be sold to satisfy taxation and other arrears. Upon receiving no response from the last known property owners, and in accordance with section 161.3 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, the property shall be sold by public auction. And I guess, Your Worship, just to summarize here, we're looking out for the best interests of the taxpayers of the city by trying to collect monies effectively that have gone unpaid for city services and streets. Nobody is living in these properties. I think one has been abandoned by the homeowner, and the other one, basically, there was a death in the family. And these properties, we're not sure. They may be compromised. We're not really sure. And I imagine there's been some discussions about environmental issues related to the
So
property.
this is as is, where is kind of deal.
It is as is, where is.
No reserve bids or anything on this
Yeah.
stuff.
So the next step in the process to deal with the properties is for the city to put them up for sale. And ideally, we'll get somebody putting a bid in, and it'll satisfy the tax arrears, and then whoever ends up purchasing the property, from there it goes. It'll be expected to be brought up to the same standards and conditions that you and I enjoy and the rest of
Well,
the
this
city.
for some, this will represent a business opportunity or
and I-
whatever.
and
I
I
would
so move.
imagine. It is, just before you get to that, let's get the motion on the floor. It is moved, and it is seconded by Councillor Tessier. Now, Councillor Stoyles, your question?
Thank you, Worship. Question I have is, once we do this and we put them up on the action block and set a date and they go up on action, what if they're not sold? Do the city own them then? My concern is that we've done this now, and I've certainly been a supporter of getting something done with those two properties, and that because they're abandoned by the owners.
So if
And-
nobody bids, what
and
happens?
My question is, if nobody decides that because of issues with two of those properties and the city has gone this far now, will the city be responsible for those two properties?
It's an interesting question. You have the answer, Councillor Raker?
I think I do. I'm no legal expert, and of course, we're being advised here by our solicitor.
Yes.
That these are the next steps. If the tax sale does not produce a purchaser, either to the satisfaction of the city or otherwise, the city doesn't own the properties. However, the responsible thing to do might be to work with other levels of government to get the issues resolved, as opposed to, well, in effect, what's happened with at least one of these properties here is the property has been abandoned, leaving basically unknown compromise related to the properties. We don't really know if there's any environmental contamination. We don't know to what extent. But I think Council has had this before before consideration committee of the whole before. And Your Worship, to be honest with you, we're just worried that we don't know what's in the ground. We cannot force the current legal owners, one who is dead, one who is, we understand, to be possibly bankrupt and not living in the community. We can't force them to do anything. So our solicitor said we've got to move forward with the tax sale, and it is a bit of a gamble in the sense that we may not get another owner of this property. And at that point, Councillor Stoyles, no, we don't own the property, but certainly we've got to start working, I guess, with our management team here at the city, as well as maybe other government departments like the Provincial Department of Environment.
I don't think we're going to have to. I don't think we're going to
resolving-
have to worry about it.
How do we, just a question.
Councillor Walsh.
I must turn on my microphone and turn off my light. I don't want to be in the dark. I'm in the dark enough. I just, out of curiosity, how do we establish the minimum bid for these? I assume there are minimum. I know there are
there
guidelines,
minimum? I'm
and
not
we have
sure there are.
we have money that's owed. Does that establish minimum bids, or is it some kind of appraisal?
And I'm going to say I assume. I'm trying to be very truthful here because I don't really know the final answer. Maybe the acting director of corporate services can chime in. But obviously, we want to collect our taxes, and then we want to see the property continue to be held and owned for enjoyment by another property owner. So I don't know if there's a minimum bid, but that's the amount that we would be certainly seeking. I guess in a tax sale, I guess the question is, Councillor Walsh, can we take a lower bid to satisfy part of our debt and go from there, right? Or would the solicitor say, no, you've got to not accept any of the bids that are below the minimum bid, and then ultimately,
Yeah.
Any
Mr. Snellgrove,
there's no minimum?
somebody could come and bid $1 for one of these.
There's your answer.
That doesn't make any sense, though.
Ms. Peach.
Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain, and this is our very first tax sale, by the way. We've never had to do one before.
My first experience with it.
But I don't think there's necessarily a minimum bid, but we can obviously set a price that we have in mind. In this case, I'm not certain that it would necessarily be normally you would at least want to recover the outstanding taxes. And I think practice by other municipalities is to set that as minimum bid, but it depends on the circumstances. So we can check. I'm not certain, but
I would think
we can set a minimum
I would
bid.
think
We have not
that
in this
we
case.
would be in a position where even in the bidding process, we would reserve the right to accept or not accept.
Exactly.
Is that not how it would work? If somebody came along and bid $1, and they said, well, I'm the only bidder, so it's mine for $1, we would have the right to say, no, we're not accepting that. Would we not?
Yeah.
Not unless you establish a minimum bid, though. That's why I say that.
I have a question.
That's why I'm wondering. We wouldn't have that right?
I have a question.
Well, just before we get to you, let's let Ms. Beach
I'll
answer
just say
that.
one more thing. If obviously in a case, in a really bad case where the tax arrears might actually, approach the value of
Of the
the
property.
whole property, you wouldn't necessarily want to set that as your minimum bid and not get a sale. You might be happy to recover 90% of your outstanding. So I don't think, it's not set in stone as you might think it would be. So it depends on the individual circumstance.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that far with this process
not
right
with
yet.
this process yet. Councillor Tess, your
Okay,
question?
so I guess then for clarification, if we were to have, say, a developer who could come in and fix up these properties and do a good job with them, and get them at a very good price. I mean, it's as is, where is. We understand that. Would we not then, if it doesn't meet, if the price that we receive doesn't meet the taxes that are owed on it, would that owner not still be responsible for
No.
any taxes that are in arrears?
No, the owner's gone.
No.
No,
That
the
that
new
one, the
owner.
answer. That one, the answer is no. This is a classic case of these properties are going on the market. There's even a TV show called Flip This House, and this is a classic case of taking an old dilapidated property. Somebody is saying, I can get it for a song. Instead of paying all that money to buy it, I'm going to invest the money in it to see if I can sell it. That's the risk they take.
That's right.
And hopefully what we get is a cleaned up property, producing tax income long-term down the road. That's
Making the
the
neighbors
plan.
happy.
But to Councillor Walsh's point, I'm uncomfortable that there isn't some kind of minimum protection for the city's piece of this. Right? It just seems to me that there should be something that we'd say would be the minimum bid. It would have to start at this level, or and I don't know. I have no experience with it, so I don't know. All right. Anyway, any other question or comment, Councillor Stoyles?
I have another question, comment. I mean, one of the things I thought might have been an option too before we went this route would be for us to do the property, get it, the environmental, done, and see. That way then we would know, and we would sell it then, whatever we put into it for fair market value. Once we had the environmental assessment, was that ever an option that we looked at? Did the committee look at that, or would it be something? I know the city has never done it in the past. We've never dealt with issues like this in the past. That's why we're going this route. But I'm just wondering if that was an option, or was something that we could actually look at doing, at least then, because we know that both of these properties, both of them have oil spills. So I wouldn't be comfortable sending them out to the market without letting people know that
Well, they have to know.
there's
Well, they
problems.
know.
Like
They would know.
someone buying down the floodplain. You need to let people know what they're
Yeah.
buying.
No.
especially if the
We
city's
cannot.
done.
We cannot
couldn't do it.
withhold.
I know that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if we would look at doing that, because we don't know if it's going to cost $10,000 or what it's going to cost for. I know one of them had been redone before by an insurance claim. The one on Edinburgh had been done by an insurance claim. The other one, I'm not sure.
Your Worship, the environmental assessment is the responsibility of the property owner.
Yes.
And this is why our lawyer has advised us. Yes, I think down the road, I honestly don't believe, personally, that a tax sale is going to take place with these properties, because if you were wanting to purchase these properties, I think the first thing you'd want to go out and do is at least not just a phase one environmental assessment, but also perhaps a phase two, and primarily based on your commentary, the history of the property. You'd want to drill some test holes. You want to find out roughly what you're buying into. But we can't do the ESA, Councillor Stoyles, until we have, if we ultimately end up acquiring title or access to the property, we can. But right now, keep in mind, what we're trying to do here is get the city's taxes back. In one case, there still is an estate. Maybe that estate is only, has just the house in the estate, right? In the other case, we have an abandoned property. We can't track down the homeowner. So step one is to recover the taxes. Step two is the tricky part, and it's whether or not we end up acquiring a property via tax sale that ultimately we're responsible for the environmental cleanup. And I would like to think, no, the city will not be spending taxpayers' money doing the environmental cleanup. However, I do know from discussions in committee, and I think, Deputy Mayor, this goes back 3 or 4 years, it's that old saying, you can't get blood out of a turnip. And back to Councillor Walsh's point about a reserve bid, I think basically we're going to have many a discussion in committee of the whole before, if we do get some bids in. But I'm not optimistic we're going to get any bids in. And ultimately, I suspect, Councillor Stoyles, any environmental assessment will get done, and that may be the impetus to get this finalized.
Thank you. Calling the question. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
The next item, Your Worship, I think is I'm tabling. I don't have a copy of it here, but would like a resolution. You've seen it in committee of the whole. We tabled an agreement with the softball league for leasing the clubhouse for the next 15 years. This is more like a loan provision more than your standard lease. At the end of the day, the city will continue to retain legal title to the building. We built the building basically for the softball league, and over the next 15 years, they're going to
They're leasing it back. Yep.
So, Your Worship, we're putting a motion on the table so that you and the CAO can execute that lease, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded by Councillor Tessier. Question or comment? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
Thank you. And you saw in your kit invoices for approval for about $1.866 million. This has been revised in the yellow sheet at $1,911,498.30. Noting the bulk of that is either regional services, or you can see investments in stormwater management as well as street upgrading, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. One of the additions, Groves Place remediation work. What was that? Groves Place remediation work. Jerry, what was that? It's on this.
At the very bottom.
Number 17. It's one of the additions, one of the new additions on the bottom. What was that? What were we remediating there?
Groves Place.
Yeah.
Remediation.
My anticipation, this is a water line repair, and we
Right.
did some remediation on the street side of a curb of a driveway.
Okay.
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 But I'll get back and confirm exactly what that's
All right.
for.
Okay. All right. Anybody else with any questions or comments relating to any of the invoices listed 1 through 19? Other than to your comment, Councillor Aker, about the huge cost of regional services. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, and the motion is carried.
The next item, Your Worship, I'm happy to table a ratification of the collective agreement between CUPE Local 2099 and the City of Mount Pearl, and that was officially signed, by the way, back on May 29th of this year. We're bringing this forward just for I guess in a technical sense, for a public minute to authorize the agreement, which includes, as you can see there, on July 1st of 2014, $1 increase, and that applies to all classifications. And on July 1st and every year thereafter, there is 82 cents, another 82 cents in July of 16, and in July of 17, another $1. And commensurate with that, too, we also have provided for wage increases from July 1st of 2014 to January 1st, 2017 for management and council, and they are 2.5% on July 1st of 14, as well on January 1st of 15, January 1st of 16, and January 1st of 2017, and I so move.
It is moved, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Question or comment? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded, motion carried. That, I am assuming, concludes corporate services, infrastructure, and public works committee. Councillor Walsh.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I think by comparison, mine should be fairly straightforward, I hope. You got to be really careful saying that, don't you? That usually
Look out when you do.
That's usually a jinx when
Yeah.
you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me take that back. No, actually, just one contract to be let, and just an update, Your Worship. So the contract was for the Team Guzhou Park facility improvements. Really, it's the paving that's being proposed down there. The bids closed on Tuesday, the 4th of August. We had 4 bids received. It's recommended that we award the contract to the lowest compliant bidder, which was Wears Construction, for the amount of $1,073,387, including HST, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any question or comment?
I should add, Your Worship, this was accommodated within the allocation of money that we had set out for that.
All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Secondly, just a brief update, and I will be brief. First of all, I guess you would expect that the line painting is now all just about completed, 95% complete. I draw your attention to the table in number 2 for the last 4 projects. These are all 4 different projects, all capital works projects, or Building Canada, which is still capital. What's interesting is that these are in various stages of completion, from 40% to 90%, and all awarded to 4 different construction companies. This year, of course, the bids tend to be a little bit more competitive than in the most recent past, because I think it's a little leaner in terms of some construction. I do also want to bring your attention to the fact that the Ham Place, Jeffers, O'Keefe, Hounslow multi-year capital project is nearing a close, also with 95% completion. And we've got a number of projects in the hopper right now that are moving along. The update in terms of the roads is listed below for your information. Parks and fields as well. And we're still actually trying to assess the value of our leak detection, but we are making headway with that. Great work is being done on that. Our hydrant flushing is ongoing, and we're trying as much as we can to get to some of the water leak repairs that need to be done. We do need to get perhaps a little bit more creative, and we will, because these things require our immediate attention, and they do, as you know, if they're let for any period of time, they can cost us a considerable amount of money. But we're doing really well. We saw some figures recently that shows that we're making a dent in it, we're making improvement, and we're heading in the right direction, and that's all well and good. So we're happy about that. That's it for infrastructure, public works. Unless there are any questions.
Question from Councillor Stiles.
Question. I had a question, Councillor Walsh, and just wondering if there was any report or anything done on the line painting. We were doing pilot projects and testing and doing a number of work, because we've talked about line painting here a number of times, and new paint and different products and things that we looked at. And I'm just wondering, I know
the thermoplastic.
The thermoplastic in certain areas we done, and we M5 had some materials or something that we were using. I'm just wondering if there's any report done on it.
Well, and I don't have a particular report, but I will defer to our director. I know we did have some issues and concerns about quality control, which were addressed in the letting of the contract. We did just have one bidder, actually, and they appear to be doing reasonably good work. But Mr. Randall, if you have something that you can shed on that, we appreciate it.
What we were looking at was the thermoplastics that we actually piloted a couple of years ago. We have some more to be placed in this particular contract. We haven't done it yet because we want to get our line painting with the paint actually done first. We've done an in-house, if you want to call it, study of what our performance has been like on the thermoplastic. I expect to bring that to IPW committee before we actually start laying down the material. We have found generally though, and if you've seen it already yourselves, crosswalks. The crosswalk blocks and stop bars are not performing as well as what we had expected.
They're not performing as well?
Not performing as well, particularly with the studded tyres, the path, the ruts of the cars. We have found performing well is the lane marking delineation. So the actual centre lines of lanes and centre lines of roads are performing well. The traffic's not as bad. So we expect to be doing more of that before the summer is out, and actually that's where it's performing best. So I'll bring back a further report to Council through IPW about the status of the actual pilot project itself.
So the quality of the paint and stuff like that, do we monitor any of that stuff when the tender goes out? I'm just wondering, because I've been asked a question by residents of the city, wondering if that's the case.
Yes, we do. Actually, this year we bought a new device. It's a measuring tool that will actually measure the wet film thickness of the paint. And we've had fairly extensive inspections this year. because of some other concerns as well, and because of our own concerns about quality of the line painting. So we have fairly intensive inspection at this point in time based on winds, temperatures, humidity, conditions of rain and what have you, and we are measuring the thickness of the paint itself.
Thank you.
Councillor Lidwell.
Thank you. Quick question with regards to the table here, and one of the projects that we have on the table here in particular, and that would be the work that's being done on 2nd Street, I guess primarily 2nd Street, but also, of course, Windsor Place is involved there. And I guess I asked primarily about 2nd Street because it's near my place of residence. I drive through there and past there almost every day, but I see there that it's marked as 50% complete, and I guess it's a little bit concerning, I suppose, to me anyway, that here we are in the middle of August and we're showing 50% complete. I wonder, and perhaps the director can fill us in a little bit, I wonder if we're on schedule or behind schedule, where we stand with that project, because I've had a couple of residents ask me about it, and I'd just like to know where we stand.
Well, we haven't had any summer yet, so we're just about to start.
Mr. Antle, are we behind because we're only 50% complete?
And this project, 2nd Street and Windsor Place, we were due for a contractual completion at the end of August. The contractor does indicate that they'll be close to that. I expect we're going to be into the month of September before that particular project is complete. These projects, generally speaking, with the underground work, it's slow and it's messy and it's time consuming. Once we get to the surface and curbs and stone, they'll occur very quickly. The other two, by the way, just to give council's information, 3rd Street and Wilcox Place, the contractual completion of 3rd Street and Wilcox is October the 23rd. These are longer process projects. They started a little bit later. We had a change order actually on 3rd Street where we incorporated the water line replacement as well. Humphrey Crescent and Princeton, our scheduled contractual completion is October the 2nd. Both of those projects right now are on schedule for those dates. But 2nd Street is a little bit behind.
A little bit behind, but if I could, Your Worship, while it is a little bit behind, it's also scheduled to be completed much sooner than the others. So this is the end of August. So to your concern, which is very legitimate, I think even if we're 3 or 4 weeks late on the 2nd Street project, it would still be done well before any weather would set in.
Before we
so
hit
well
winter
before
already.
the end of September. You know.
Okay.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Planning and Development Committee, Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to both Director Antle and Councillor Walsh for the response. Appreciate that. First item for planning this evening is a request for a variance to accommodate a new accessory building at 8 Wyatt Boulevard. The property owner is proposing to remove the existing shed on the property and construct a new 29.77 square meter garage in his rear yard. Of course, as we know, an accessory building is very much a permitted use in a residential zone. And this particular proposal meets just about all of the regulations that we have here in the city, including those that govern the actual maximum floor area of the accessory building. However, there is one part of the proposal that has caused some question, and that is to do with the proposed height of the accessory building. The allowable maximum building height under the regulations is 3.5 meters. However, the proposal shows that a proposed building height of 3.73 meters is in line for this particular accessory building. The applicant is requesting a variance of 6.6% in order to accommodate his proposal. This 6.6% does certainly fall within the 10% maximum variance that council does have allotted within the regulations. There was a briefing session that was scheduled for the month of July on this particular issue. However, we did receive no representations when we called for some, and therefore the session was cancelled. The recommendation from the Planning Committee is that the variance certainly be approved and that a permit be issued subject to the conditions in the kit, those being the removal of the existing shed, of course, before the accessory building is constructed. The garage cannot contain a second floor because it would go over the maximum floor area. And, of course, all the other conditions in the kit apply here, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. Question or comment?
So height is not a problem.
No. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Is Mr. Yevchak? Comment?
Just a point of clarification, Your Worship, for the record. Variances don't necessarily go to briefing sessions. They are we just receive representations at a certain date. I just want for the record to make clear that this was not something that was going to a brief. Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you. We'll call it then. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion's carried.
Next up, Your Worship, is a request from 68380 Newfoundland Labrador Incorporated. This has to do with 59 Park Avenue. Council will recall that in February of this past year, we did issue a development permit to this company for a 23-unit row-dwelling condominium development down on the corner of Park and Worrell Crescent. As part of the proposal, the company came and approached the city regarding the acquisition of about 4,700 square feet of land within the city's road right-of-way at the front of this development, or proposed development. This was to be used, of course, in the development of boundaries for the proposal. The land is surplus to what we require as a city for the Worrell Crescent road right-of-way. And at the time, and as a condition of the permit, the city, we had agreed to sell the land to the developer on the basis of its market value. At this point, the developer is about ready to commence development of the site, and he has come and requested that the land be deeded over to him. We have conducted an appraisal of the land, and the value has been determined to be $28,000. So at this point, we are prepared to recommend that the city sell the land to 68380 Newfoundland Labrador Inc. at the market value of $28,000, and I so move.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Question or comment? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried.
Moving right along, Your Worship, we have the development permit list for July 27 to August 7, 2015. We just have one permit on our list for this period. As you see there, it's regarding 878 Topsail Road and Unit A. I so move.
Moved, seconded. All in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, question. Councillor Tessier. Moving too fast.
Unit A indicates to me that this is in a building, that this is a building that has multiple businesses or something established into it. Can somebody tell me exactly where this is? What building this is?
878 Topsail Road is what building?
878 Topsail Road is up on this side of Topsail Road, near Blackmarsh, actually. It's the
like the Guardian building, like there?
Yeah.
No.
Perhaps the director can clarify for me. It's the insurance. There used to be an insurance agency.
Is it the building that's right on the corner between Blackmarsh and Topsail Road?
I believe it is, yes.
No.
No. I stand corrected. Perhaps the director.
No, that's
can.
860.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that, yeah. 878.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is, if you recall, we approved a development permit, I'm going to say about 18 months ago, for the development of a building behind, I'm trying to think of what it's Chris Vardy's real estate office. There's an office right on Topsail Road, just west of Blackmarsh Road and Topsail Road intersection, and there's a building right behind it, a brand new building.
Oh, right in behind.
This is one of the units that's going in there. It's a multi-tenant unit. We approved it on that basis.
Gotcha.
This is the first unit. What happens is that the building is approved basically as a multi-tenant building, and as the first use comes into the space, if it's a permitted use, we will then bring it forward for issuance of development permit.
All right, another question.
Councillor Stoyles.
Just wondering about the parking. I know we had a tenant renting a spot on Topsail Road, and I don't know if it's similar to this, but they ended up having a lot of parking issues with a lot of people going to the fitness place, and we end up closing them down, and we discussed it here many times. I'm just wondering, because it says group fitness, I'm just wondering if there's sufficient parking in that area, or are they going to be parking on neighbours and that? I'm just curious about that.
Your Worship, this is not as an intense use as the group fitness that Councillor Stoyles is referring to. If you recall, the group fitness that we had difficulty with had a considerable number of people at each of the sessions, and there was a lot of crossover. According to the application, this group fitness, they're only taking groups of about 8 or 10 at a time, and there'll be crossover at certain times, but certainly not to the numbers that the other group fitness use had on Topsail Road. Also, this is set back from Topsail Road. They do have parking in front and the back of the building. So from the parking calculations, they do have enough parking for the. No.
I'm just wondering, because what about if they expand? I mean, they're starting off with that small amount now, but what about in 6 months' time business booms and yeah.
Have we already voted on this?
Not just. It's moved and seconded. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I'm not sure. No, I've lost.
Have you been asleep?
I've lost you
Yes,
guys.
yes.
I've lost you. This is a permit that's long issued. Is my concern here.
We're just asking questions.
The horse has left the barn. The horse has left the barn. All right. Well, to your point, though, your question was what? What was the last question you
My
just asked?
question was just wondering about what I said about expanding and that if they become
Well,
very
they're inside a
successful.
much bigger building, right?
That's what I'm asking.
I share Councillor Stoyle's original concerns, and I know that we've had this here before, that this is, as you said, the horse has left the barn. But the reason I asked is because the other facility was in my neighborhood, and of course it was very challenging, and anybody who was concerned was coming to me with their concerns. And you know, it can be very tempting as well to, during these beautiful days, if you're having a fitness class, to take it outside, and that was happening as well. And that was causing some issues with the neighborhood. This particular location is not near, I'm satisfied that it's not near very many residential dwellings. It's off Topsail Road in an area that's not densely populated with homes. So I'm very comfortable
It's very difficult
with the development.
to start using somebody else's parking lot up there. Which is one of the
Absolutely,
issues we had
because of where it is.
Yeah, which is what we had with the other one. Mr. Yevchek.
Again, just I guess a point of clarification. If this operation does expand in terms of floor space and so on, they would have to come back to the city to get a permit for that as
To
well.
do it again, yeah.
Yeah, so based on the information that we have from the applicant at this point in time, the type of intensity and use that they're proposing here, it is permitted, it does comply, and there's sufficient room to accommodate on that basis, right?
Okay, thank you. Any other question or comment? I'll call it then. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
Last item for planning, Your Worship, is our building construction.
The money coming in?
The money coming in for July 27th to August 7th, 2015. On the residential side, the total is $329,400, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried. Nobody getting a hot tub?
Nobody getting a hot tub. No, we
Well,
missed
why
our
would
chance
you?
at the hot tub last time, I think.
Why would you?
Our building construction on the commercial side, the total for July 27th, August 7th, 2015 is $93,100, and I so move.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Thank you.
And that concludes your report.
It certainly does.
Thank you, sir, very much. Moving to Regional Services Environment Committee, Councillor Stoyles.
Have a couple of items. The Green Team have been working very hard. They started on July 6th and they're going to be finished in the next 2 weeks. They have been working very closely with the Church of the Good Shepherd and Hillcrest, and they have done 14 gardens now and helped with both of those projects. They have an additional 10 gardens that they're going to be doing now in the next couple of weeks, and they're proposing that they will do Forest Avenue and Cameron Park Community Centre, and there's still a couple of anybody is interested in the community. They're also going to have another public meeting. They had a public meeting in May, and they have another one on Monday, August 17th, at the multi-purpose room at the Summer Centre, and they want to update the residents and the people who came to that meeting. They had about 25 people that attended that, and looking forward now to giving an update and get good response back from the people, and we look forward to hearing what comes out of that second meeting.
Yep.
Next item is more information on Leon. It's the TD Bank is holding, they're going to be planting trees, and that initiative they started last year, and on September 26th from 9 to 12 they're doing this, and they're proposing Pollock's Drive buffer this year, and they have $5,000 budget to do this, and of course they asked for some help with the city, and last year one of our developers where they were proposed to do it had some money to put into it, and that happened. But this year our staff will be up there again helping them out, and anybody is interested in going, especially in the community area of Pollock's Drive, we're going to send out notice to the residents and let them know what's happening up in that area. So we look forward to that.
Yeah, that's
International Tree Planting Day across Canada, and this is something they started a couple of years ago.
I think that's really going to be neat.
And this is all across Canada that TD does this also, so we're so delighted that they're doing something here in the city of Montreal.
They're contributing $5,000 worth of trees.
$5,000 worth of trees. Plus, they have 50 guaranteed, 50 at 50 apparently that they're saying that's going to be in the Mount Pearl area planting this year from the banks around this area. So
Perfect.
Looking forward to that. And the last item we have is the water levels, and a copy of the chart is there, and we're quite happy to say that with all the rain and everything we're having, I know nobody wants to talk about weather, but yesterday I know I was on the highway and it was coming down in buckets at times, and so our water levels are quite good this year, and just wanted for the public's information. And that's it.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. We are moving on to Councillor Tessier, Transportation Public Safety Committee report.
Very briefly, we just want to remind everybody that if they're interested in the Neighborhood Watch program, they can email neighborhoodwatch@mountpearl.ca, or they can call 748-1082. Of course, this time of year is when people are out enjoying our warm summer evenings, and we want to make sure that our residents are able to enjoy them to the fullest and enjoy our pathways and all of our public spaces. And if they have any concerns at all and want to form a neighborhood watch, we're really happy to assist them in that process.
We have we have 2 or 3 very successful neighborhood watches right
Absolutely.
now. One with 44 registered members in one.
Sometimes all you need is the signage. I mean, if you have the signage in place, it means you have an active neighborhood watch program happening, which is wonderful. But sometimes the signage alone is a deterrent for any untoward activity, because they know there are members, that there are people who are actively involved in this neighborhood watch program. And if anybody was planning on engaging in any activities that most people don't want in their neighborhoods, well, that's going to deter them. So we'd encourage anybody who has any concerns at all, or who just wants to keep their community safe and ensure that it's kept safe all the time, to reach out with us, and we're happy to assist them in that program.
All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Stoyles.
That issue was something I was going to bring up in the next segment of the thing, but now that you brought it up, Councillor Tessier, I'm going to speak to it. Over the past couple of weeks since the last meeting, I mentioned it here a few weeks ago about Toomey Place. They've had a number of vandalisms and problems, and cars damaged, and home break-ins and whatnot. I know our municipal police have been involved, and I know Jason Collins had been involved, and just Saturday morning I got a call from one of my neighbours down on Dalton Avenue, and she said, we were up all night. She said they moved from up there down by Hand Place in Little Park, down behind Edgewood Apartments and Hand Place, and apparently Friday, Saturday and Sunday night there was anywhere between 5 and 20 young people drinking and whatever else was going on. 5 o'clock in the morning, the police had been called. To my understanding, this is only hearsay and what I've been told, and I've contacted our Jason Collins again and asked them to pass it along, and maybe this would be another good place for community policing, because the people on Toomey Place, one lady who is there by herself now, her husband passed away, and she is very, very nervous. She's afraid to stay there by herself. Apparently, one of the neighbours, somebody knocked on her door at 1:30 in the morning, and wanted 3 young people was at her door and wanted to use the phone. And she said, well, today's technology, she said, surely God, some of them had cell phones. She was thinking that maybe they were knocking on the door to see if anybody was home and then break in. So it's happening in our community as well, and it's happening all over the province, and people have to be very alert and very aware to make sure that they lock the doors and not answer the doors. Call the police if someone knocks on your door after a certain time in the night. But it's very dangerous out there today, and I know our community police has been, municipal police have been very involved, but I had on my agenda to speak to this evening.
We are, if I may, we are partnering with the RNC on some areas that we are having greater than average concerns. That's probably a safe way of putting it. So we are partnering very closely with the RNC. Our municipal enforcement, of course, are always available. But you raise an excellent point. This is a neighborhood, if it's moving from one place to the next, because quite often that is what happens. If it's moving from one place to the next, then our focus will also remain with the other hotspot and with any new areas that that pop up. But if somebody calls and they have complaints or concerns, like if the whole weekend it was problematic, and if it continues to be that way, I would strongly suggest that we have a neighborhood watch meeting with those residents. Strongly.
I think that's an area now, something we have to look at.
Absolutely. I think that should be almost one of our first responses to somebody. Outside of course, enforcement at the time, when you're looking at prevention, I think that would be an excellent starting point for anybody. Because again, it's your neighborhood. You want it to be safe. I know we had an issue in our neighborhood for years, and it's very unsettling. It's extremely unsettling. So when your neighborhood is peaceful and safe again, it gives you all the peace in the world. So I think that maybe for those residents, we should absolutely set up a neighborhood watch session.
I have a few names, so I will pass them on to the Jason because it was,
Yeah. Terrible.
Okay, good. That concludes the report. Yes, or did you want to wade in here, Jerry? No? Okay. I'm just looking at you there like you were ready to speak. New business, Deputy Mayor.
I too was going to speak to the Toomey place because I had a call from a resident as well expressing concerns. So I think Councillor Tessier's point is a valid one. The other item, Your Worship, I just want to remind the public that the weekend of August 22nd, 23rd, the RCMP musical ride is coming to our town.
'Tis indeed.
So I just want to encourage people to get out and support that. It'll be a great opportunity to go down, and if you have kids, if you don't have kids, I'm going down as well just to, I've seen this on a couple of occasions. It's quite a spectacle. The horses are absolutely beautiful. The public will have an opportunity to go down to visit the stalls at the Smallwood Drive Arena down at Team Good. No? All right.
Glacier.
The Glacier. Okay. Change, in my absence, change the venue. Nonetheless, the Saturday and Sunday of the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd,
They can meet the horses, actually.
they'll have an opportunity to go down and see it. So it promises to be a great show. It's a great initiative, so I encourage people to get out and support the cause.
I think it's going to be fun.
Thank you, Your
Absolutely.
Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Stoyles.
I just have one other item, Your Worship, and that I want to pass on my sympathy to Alvin Rice's family. Alvin lived here in Mount Pearl, a great resident. He lived here as long as I have, and I've known him and his family, and he was laid to rest just a few days ago, and I want to pass along my sympathies and to the family.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Walsh.
A couple of very quick things, Your Worship. I think Councillor Tessier mentioned that the last couple of public council meetings it's been beautifully hot and sunny, and we're here and happy to be here doing the city's business. But the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl haven't been quite so lucky. On Monday evenings last couple of weeks, they've been rained out, and last night my wife and I were just driving down to just check it out and see what was happening, and it was a real downpour of rain. And when I did get here, Councillor Ledwell's car was here, and so I know he was on site, and they're really running into some unfortunate bad luck in terms of the weather.
Really.
But 7 p.m. on Monday evenings, when it's not raining, out in the park next door in Centennial, drop by and support the various artists and the various arts that are taking place there. It's really something to see. A couple of corrections. There was a question asked earlier about the line painting, and our director, who rarely makes a mistake, made one on this particular occasion. He said our measuring device checks wet paint, but basically the device checks for dry film thickness on the line painting, and that's what we've done, and we are trying to stay on top of that this year to make sure that the quality of the line painting is up to par, and I'd just like to correct that. The other thing, just for your information, on the invoices for approval, there was a reference to the Groves Place remediation work, and that was in fact a water main break and a street repair that was required for that. So
Okay.
just wanted to bring that up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry?
Just had a question on line painting again. Councillor Walsh brought up back a few years ago. I know I brought up that the College of North Atlantic was doing a study with the City of St. John's on line painting and things like that. I'm just wondering if we ever got a copy of that study. I know I had given a gentleman's name. I think it might have been just as you came, Director Antle. I can't remember the gentleman's name now, at the college in North Atlantic, but they were doing a study, and I know Shani Duff was still down there, so it was before the last election. And I'm just wondering if we can have a look and see if they did do the study. I don't know if they even did it. I don't remember even seeing a copy of it, but I know they were partnering with the college in North Atlantic, and Shani had brought up, Councillor Duff had brought up in their council meeting, brought up to M&L at a regional meeting, and she was saying that they had Arthur Long was the gentleman's name at the college in North Atlantic. I don't know if he's in the same position anymore, but it was Arthur Long, and I know Arthur quite well too. That's what I was trying to remember his name. Anyway, I know he was the one that was looking after him, involved in the study. It'd be nice if there was that study done, and if we could get a copy of it, because certainly interesting to find out if there's something else we can do so we won't have to be painting as much. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Walsh is done. Councillor Tessier?
Not done.
Not done yet.
No, it's actually very brief. I had a little visitor on my patio one day this week, and a beautiful little cat come up and sit on my lawn furniture and make itself quite at home. And it was actually quite sweet and very friendly. But it is a reminder that, unfortunately, sweet and friendly cats are not allowed to roam, nor are unsweet and unfriendly cats. Anyway, I just want to remind our residents that cats are not allowed to roam in our city. For their safety, for everybody's safety, for the sake of your gardens, for the sake of disruption of other animals that might be in the house. This one happened to be very sweet, and I hope that she comes back. But she's not supposed to. She's not supposed to be out and about, so we just want to remind residents of that. Also, this coming Saturday, Mount Pearl has a team in the Paddle in Paradise, the Avalon Dragon Boat Festival. That's happening in Paradise, and so I want to wish Mount Pearl good luck. I'm going to be there. I'll be calling the races, so I will not be one bit biased. Yes, I will, when Mount Pearl is paddling. It's a wonderful initiative. It's a great day. There's going to be people there from all over the province, not just the region. People are coming in from Gander. Gander has their own, I believe, survivor team coming in as well. So I just wanted to wish our team in Mount Pearl good luck when they're paddling on the pond this weekend.
Thank you very much. Councillor Aker.
That story, and I have a question coming out of it, but last night in the city to the north, I witnessed a cat being run over.
And that's why they can't be out.
They can't be out, but this cat was out, and the gentleman that was driving the vehicle ahead of me did turn around and go back. So my question is, and I know I've been on council now for 6 years, if I do that here in the city of Mount Pearl, and I'm going back and I find a dead or injured cat, do I call animal control at that point in time? I may not get them, but I'll get the call center, correct? And ideally then will they be able to action that sooner rather than later, if you know what I mean? Director Antle?
We pick up animals in the road. We've picked up dead crows and dead seagulls and what have you, because they are, as much as it's sad, they are a road hazard too. So we have to pick it up. So you either call us during the business day, or you get us after hours, and our standby will respond.
So would you suggest that the person wait at the scene because somebody is coming? Because I know it's very stressful for the cat, but it's also very stressful for the people who are driving too, right? So essentially, if you make the phone call, somebody will come. Not necessarily in a second, but we'll be there within an hour or two.
Sometimes we've had people stay at the scene because the animal may not be dead. So they actually try to do something, supposedly to sometimes pull it to the side of the road or what have you. But we don't expect people to try to administer first aid or what have you, right? But call us, and we're there fairly fast response. It's not a couple of hours. We can be there fairly quick.
I'd like to speak to that, because that exact situation happened last year. I think, Councillor Stoll, as you may remember, we were leaving a Connect meeting on Monday evening, and there was a dead animal in the middle of the road on Park, a dead cat. And it is really upsetting. I mean, we kind of joke and think that, cats are probably not that big of a nuisance if they're out and about, but sometimes they really are. But their safety is very much at risk, and it is unsettling to come up on a dead animal. It is, and I can imagine would be horrific to hit one. I can't even imagine it. But anyway, this cat was in the road, and it was very upsetting for people that were bystanders who didn't want to touch it. You know, I think I would be very uncomfortable myself moving a dead cat. So I called the city crews, and to their credit, they were there very quickly and very respectfully remove the animal.
Which is the main thing to do.
Absolutely. You know, because you also don't want to see it get continually hit, or, for the integrity of the animal, you don't want to see it.
It would be dangerous, is that it?
Well, there's a lot of factors, right? So anyway, but to our credit, our crew's credit, they did come and remove the animal very quickly. But it's very, very upsetting, and it speaks to the point, really.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Good stuff, thank you, sir. And I've got an update now on the tax sale, so we can resolve this in terms of procedure. Madame CAO has rightfully provided that section 161.6 says that when there's a tax sale occurring, we do try to recover in the initial sale. We do try to cover all the amounts that are owed. And if there is no bid that satisfies that, within 7 to 14 days, another tax sale will occur. Again, same process, posting it in the paper on the city's website, at which time we are free to basically accept any bid, which could be below our tax balance. And then at that point in time, Your Worship, I guess then we would have to decide whether or not we're prepared to take possession of the property or not. So that's coming down the pipe. Stay tuned.
Okay, that's good information. Thank you very much. That concludes our business today. Oh, Andrew, I'm sorry, man. I thought we'd done through everything. One of those days.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's almost just as well as you did, because I too had cats and the Arts Association on my list for this evening. So just very briefly, I had a call from a resident on Jersey Avenue this past weekend who had some issues with some roaming cats. In this case, they were certainly a nuisance. So I just want to add my voice to the voices of Councillor Tessier and Acre and others to say that our cats shouldn't be allowed to roam, and they need to be sort of accounted for by our pet owners in the city.
I don't know why people won't put a leash on them.
Because it's a mindset. It's a mindset.
It's culture.
I mean, mine was leashed for 8 years.
But we're in the city.
But it does result in dead cats.
Well, that's the
Well,
problem.
that's why you put a leash on your cat.
Sadly.
Right? Anyway.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so I just wanted to bring that forward, but again, it's already been done very well. The Arts Association, I was here last night, of course, for their Arts in the Park. It was very wet out, and therefore they didn't have very many participants, as Councillor Walsh put it. But I just want to throw a little signal boost out there for them. This Monday coming is going to be their last Arts in the Park event for this year. They've done a lot of great work over over 10 years in the city of Mount Pearl. This month alone, they've put together an arts carnival on a Sunday afternoon a couple of weeks ago. This will be 3 Monday night events that they've put forward, and they're great events. I mean, great stuff for kids, lots of fun to be had. So I just want to really encourage everybody to get out and support the Association for the Arts, because they do a lot of good work. And of course, we've got Arts Week coming up in September, so they could sure use some support.
Amen to that. Thank you, sir, very much. And again, apologize for missing you there, brother. That then concludes the business of the day. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. It is moved by Councillor Walsh. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.